Welcome to this explainer. Have you ever stared at a screaming news headline about a booming economy and thought to yourself, well, my wallet certainly doesn't feel like the economy is booming? Trust me, you aren't alone. Today, we're looking past those flashy headlines and going straight under the hood of gross domestic product, or GDP. We're going to strip away the noise of inflation to uncover the absolute truth about economic growth. And that brings us to a highly relatable dilemma. Are we actually getting richer, or is literally everything just getting more expensive? You know, a record high GDP sounds fantastic, but if consumers are feeling that sharp sting of rising prices at the grocery store, there's a huge disconnect. I mean, how can the economy be growing if our purchasing power is shrinking, right? Well, the answer lies in exactly how we measure that growth. Okay, let's dive into this. To understand this massive disconnect, we have to look at two completely different ways economists measure a country's output. On one side, we have nominal GDP, which is evaluated at current prices. And on the other, we have real GDP, which relies on constant prices. Now, they might sound pretty similar, but they tell two wildly different stories about our economic reality. Let's start with nominal GDP. This is basically the money value of all final goods and services produced within a domestic territory during a particular year, expressed at prevailing market prices. In short, it takes the economy strictly at face value. If a loaf of bread costs $3 this year, nominal GDP counts it as $3. But relying on current prices gives us a highly misleading picture if prices across the board are rising. Picture this scenario. What if the actual volume of physical goods and services we produce stays completely flat? The total output hasn't changed at all. But if inflation drives prices up, nominal GDP just keeps climbing and climbing. It looks like growth, sure, but honestly, it's pure economic illusion.
So the crucial point here, and this is captured perfectly in a quote from our source material, is that this increase in GDP creates a false sense of richness. Think about it. If society produces the exact same number of cars and haircuts this year as it did last year, but they just cost more, we aren't actually any wealthier. Phantom growth doesn't do absolutely anything to improve our standard of living.
And this is where we introduce the ultimate antidote to the inflation illusion: real GDP. Real GDP measures the value of those exact same final goods and services, but it evaluates them at the fixed market prices of a specific base year. By freezing prices in time like this, we completely eliminate the distortion of inflation. It allows us to see if we're actually truly producing more things.
But to get from nominal to real GDP, we can't just guess. To eliminate the effect of price changes from our data, we first need a very specific tool, known as the price index. This is simply a metric that measures the changes in prices between different years. It acts as our anchor, showing us exactly how much prices have inflated or deflated compared to our base year.
Now, what's really interesting about this next part is the actual math, the economic analyst's secret weapon. It's the conversion formula. Real GDP simply equals nominal GDP divided by the price index of the current year, and then that whole thing is multiplied by 100. It's a highly effective tool designed to systematically strip away inflation. We are quite literally dividing out the price increases to uncover the unvarnished truth of our production.
Let's move along and see how this builds into a practical workflow. This is the exact step-by-step decoding process an analyst uses. Step 1, you start with your headline number, nominal GDP at current prices. Step 2, identify your current year price index to gauge the inflation. Step 3, divide the nominal GDP by that price index to basically deflate the balloon. And finally, step 4, multiply by 100. Just like that, you've stripped away price changes and revealed true economic output.
So why does all this meticulous calculating actually matter? Well, because real GDP reflects true economic growth. It eliminates those price distortions that confuse consumers, it prevents us from falling for that really dangerous false sense of richness, and, perhaps most importantly, it serves as the ultimate, reliable metric for making accurate international comparisons of economic performance. Which brings us to a final critical question for you. The next time you see a headline shouting about a record-breaking GDP, are you going to take it at face value, or will you ask if it's nominal or real? You now have the analytical tools to see right through the illusion. True wealth isn't about higher prices, it's about real production. Keep that in mind, and thanks for joining me for this deep dive.